gathered here today, right, for Matt.
Yes.
Yes, to recognize Matt. Thank you all for coming, for starters. And my name is Tony Mueller, I'm the clinical director. Okay. First, I'm just going to share a little history about this award. First, in 1999, a patient, Patrick Barnes, was a patient and diagnosed with idiopathic thrombocytopenia pura. During his hospitalization, the family experienced superb and extraordinary nursing care, the best nursing care that they felt they could have had. The nurses were the ones that dealt with his complex medical situation and provided ongoing loving care to them, to Patrick and the family. It was nursing excellence, kindness, compassion during Patrick's hospitalization that the family remembered. The nurses were always present, always caring, and always comforting them during this time. Days later, after Patrick passed, the family thought, what can we do to recognize this extraordinary nursing care? His wife came up with the acronym DAISY, Diseases Attacking the Immune System. This was the beginning of the DAISY Award and is given to extraordinary nurses like you here. The DAISY Award is a recognition used by healthcare facilities across the United States and abroad. The award is established to celebrate extraordinary compassionate nursing care given to patients and families every day, just as the great care you provided. Thank you very much.
And I'm going to read Matt's nomination. Matt was both serious and compassionate. One of his main strengths was that he understood what it meant to give a patient dignity. Being a 43-year-old banking executive, Chad wanted to do whatever he could and not be treated like an elderly patient who didn't have the strength or determination to get better. Matt provided those opportunities for Chad. This was critical to Chad's confidence and mental state. Matt was also constantly attentive. Chad said he felt like Matt jumped over the desk as soon as his call button was pressed, even when he had an additional patient to care for. Specifically, I remember one night I was distraught. Chad's ICU psychosis was more than I could take, and I left the CVICU unit in tears. I intended to return but fell asleep and awoke at 5 a.m. the next morning. As I ran down the hall, I felt guilty that I had left Matt with such a mess. As I rounded the corner to Chad's room, I was greeted with a half smile and the comment, well, he didn't sleep at all, but he is calm. I felt terrible and that I had left Chad there, but I knew Matt understood Chad and me. After that, whenever Matt was our nurse, I left the room and slept. Those nights of sleep were priceless. Well, and Matt, Matt is a newer nurse here to CVICU, and we are so proud of Matt. Matt is a new nurse resident. He started last summer, and he was a paramedic actually before he was a nurse, and so we are so glad to have him on our team. As a new nurse resident, you know, getting the DAISY Award, we are just so proud of him. So thank you, Matt.
And then I'll take a moment to say something. I think everything you just said sums up. A lot of this award goes to my fellow co-workers on this unit. I really feel like this. I mean, even in the letter, it wasn't. You know, we work as such a good team, and being a newer nurse, I remember this experience where I had everybody willing to help me out. People were coming in, starting IVs. When I was busy, I had my fellow coworkers taking care of my other patients. So I think it is a reflection on this unit as a whole. I think we're got a little streak going, so who's next? Thank you guys so much.
Well, Matt, I'm Kenneth Brumper, the Chief Nursing Officer, and it is my pleasure to recognize the compassionate and very thoughtful nursing care you've been provided by offering you and presenting to you the official DAISY Award for the month of March. And this is something that will be yours for posting. All right. And in addition
are you going to
to
look
this,
at me?
oh But there are more things that you get, and one of the most beautiful and most touching is this sculpture called the Healer's Touch, which is crafted by artisans in Zimbabwe. And the important thing to recognize, and we're going to actually send you a link that shows the artisans crafting this very piece. And the thing that's important to remember is that the money that the Daisy Foundation, and they buy thousands of these a year from the same village in Zimbabwe, all of that money goes back to the village to help support the families of the artisans. So this is a reflection of the kind and compassionate care that you provided to your patient. And your most prestigious and highly coveted Daisy pin. Welcome to that. The other thing is there are a couple of national sponsors for the Daisy Award. One of them is the American Organization of Nurse Executives. Another one is a company called API, but the most tasty one is a company called Cinnabon. And they are, and Cinnabon has actually been, I think, retained as a sponsor because when J. Patrick Barnes was ill as a patient in the hospital, the only thing that he could eat was Cinnabons. And so they became kind of a symbol of his recovery and of his desire to continue that journey. We don't have a Cinnabon here in Iowa City or in Coralville or anywhere near, but we do have the Kelowna Bakery, which is a close second. So what we have provided you with is 2 big trays with cinnamon rolls, and just to make it as close to Cinnabon as possible, there's actually Cinnabon cinnamon that you can And then last but not least are the bouquet of daisies that are yours as well. So I'll hold this, and Sharon can take some photographs of you with the daisies. And then we're going to do photographs of your colleagues and your leadership team and the whole 9 yards.